Are you starting carnivore?
Here are 6 mistakes to avoid so you can experience success on the carnivore diet.
Hey y'all, welcome back to our channel. We're the Carnivore Couple. I'm Pat.
And I'm Caitlin.
And we have lost a combined total of 170 pounds in the last 11 months on the carnivore diet. And our journey has not been perfect or easy.
And we've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but here are 6 mistakes that we've made, and we're hoping that it'll help you avoid these mistakes on your own journey.
The first mistake is keeping non-carnivore foods in your house.
We definitely made this mistake in the beginning. We have a toddler, and we did not even start kind of weaning him off the standard American diet. It didn't occur to us until we were about maybe 3 or 4 months in our journey. So he's not carnivore or keto right now. He's just eating way more whole foods than we used to serve him. But when we first started the carnivore diet, we still had tempting foods in our house.
Yes.
We still had goldfish and Cheez-Its and applesauce and fruit snacks. And so when we're weaning from those carbs, those temptations are calling out to us. So I wish we would have gotten rid of those challenging foods in our house.
Yeah, and you know, coming from someone who is addicted to sugar and carbs and was eating junk before, and those, especially in the beginning, those days where you have those like moments where you're like, oh, I wish I had sugar or some carbs right now, and knowing in the back of your head that you have that in your pantry is really tempting. So definitely want to avoid having that in your pantry at all costs.
Yeah, so if you can, first thing to do when you're starting carnivore, box up all those non-carnivore foods, get them out of your house so that you can start successfully. But for lots of people, maybe you're like us, you have kids, or maybe you have other people in your house who aren't carnivore, it's just not possible to get those tempting foods out of your house. So some of the things that I did was that in the pantry, next to those tempting foods, even if it was whole foods that I was trying not to eat, I'd post a picture of my son, which was my why, and then I'd post a picture of my goal of where I wanted to be, so that when I opened that pantry, I would constantly be reminded of the journey I was on. Another thing I would do, have an accountability partner that when you are tempted, I had one that when I wanted fries, I would text her and I'd say, I really want fries right now. What should I do? And I'm feeling emotional. And I would just text her, and it would really help me to diffuse my emotional state so I wasn't resolving that with food, but with connection and relationship. So those are 2 things that I did. But it can be really hard if you can't get rid of them in your house, but it is possible. Set up barriers for yourself so that you can be successful.
The second mistake is not taking Keto Flu Prevention seriously. Now, if you don't know what Keto Flu is, basically it's when you're transitioning from a glucose metabolism to a ketosis metabolism and using fat for your energy. Your body goes through this transition. It can have symptoms such as extreme headache, dizziness, extreme fatigue, nausea. I know you experienced quite a bit of this.
Yeah, I definitely did not take the Keto Flu Prevention seriously, and we were shopping at Walmart, and all of a sudden I just felt super dizzy, like my vision was getting blurry, and I was like, Pat, I just need to go to the car.
Yeah.
And I was feeling so sick, and then we got home and I was still feeling sick, and then Patrick's like, have you had any electrolytes today? And I said, well, no, obviously. And so he made me some electrolytes, I drank them, and I felt so much better.
The reason that you want to do that is because when you're eating a standard diet, you know, you retain a lot of water, and as you transition to ketosis, you're dumping all that water, and with that water goes your sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So you want to make sure you supplement those things, and some of our favorites are things like Element, Essential Elements, and you can also make your own for pretty cheap. Check out the description, we'll kind of give you a little recipe there for you.
The third mistake to avoid is rewarding yourself with a cheat meal. I think I did this when I had lost maybe about 30 pounds. I was like, man, I'm doing so good. I've lost 30 pounds. I definitely deserve a cheat meal. And I went and I had a cheat meal, and oh my goodness, the food cravings, the food addiction came roaring back, and it took me almost a month to get back on track. It was horrible. And then I just get into this mental game of, okay, well, if I do really good this month and I lose 10 pounds, then I'll reward myself with another cheat meal, and then another cheat meal. And then you just get into this cycle of being off plan and making this a diet instead of a lifestyle change. So really try not to reward yourself with an off plan cheat meal. We'll talk about some carnivore/keto cheat meal ideas where, you know, maybe you're having a party or you want to have something a little bit more special. That's all right, but totally going off plan, try to avoid that as much as possible.
You know, and something that, you know, you could think about is, you know, all those years you had a cheat meal every meal. You know what I mean? Like you were eating like crap all the time, usually, especially if you're morbidly obese like, you know, us. So I look at it that way. It's like I had all those years to have all those cheat meals, and I ruined my body and ruined my metabolism and ruined my health.
Yeah.
So I know that now I need to get my health on track. So I gotta stay strict and achieve all my health and weight loss goals.
And then also, once you have the cheat meal, you realize that really just wasn't worth it. And I feel like that's what you experienced when you finally had your first cheat meal.
I had my very first cheat meal after 10 months of being carnivore. And this was actually on New Year's Eve, 2023.
He went all out, guys.
Yeah, I had never cheated, until then. And we had pizza and dessert, ice cream, lots of bad stuff.
We don't want to talk about it.
And I was like, I won't remember what it was like to eat like this, just because it's been so long. And then the next day, I woke up feeling like absolute garbage.
It's like a carnivore hangover.
Yeah, well, it was more like a junk food hangover.
Junk food hangover.
I woke up feeling like crap, and I just had no energy, and I just felt bloated and gross, and it was terrible. And I remembered, this is why I went, carnivore, and it took me about a week or so to finally get good sleep and start feeling better and to get back into ketosis and back to where I felt like good again. So it totally was not worth it. Haven't had a cheat meal since, and I probably won't have one for a long time again.
Cheating, just not worth it.
Yeah, it's definitely not worth it.
On carnivore or with your spouse.
If you really want a cheat meal, here's a way to do it while still staying in ketosis. One of my favorite cheat meals is carnivore nachos. So basically you just make some ground beef taco meat and throw some cheese on top, some hot sauce, some sour cream, take your pork rinds and dip it in the meat and cheese and sour cream. It's like carnivore nachos. They're awesome.
My favorite cheat meal is Ketovore. So that would be jalapeno poppers, cream cheese, garlic, cheddar cheese. Mix that up, stuff your jalapenos, put them in the oven. You can even wrap them with bacon. So good, and it definitely satisfies that craving. Also, I just realized chicken wings, we had them the other day. If y'all are a fry craver like me, crispy chicken wings, like if you're craving fries, try that. I was so impressed how that super satisfied my craving for fries. And then I also saw a Laura Spath video one time. She was talking about having a cheat meal at Costco, and she took the toppings of the pizza and wrapped it around the hot dog like a pizza dog, and so that was her cheat meal. So
never even thought about that
you can find ways to have a little bit more special meal than you're used to having, but still stay in ketosis and keep your goals.
The next one is eating snacks instead of meals. Now, in the beginning, when like the first 3 weeks or so, when you're just starting out, you're craving something, if you want a snack or you're getting hungry, that's okay. As long as it's carnivore, it's fine. But after that 3 weeks or so, and you're starting to get really into the groove of things and starting to really change your lifestyle and change the way you're eating, and you're starting to form a habit of eating carnivore, at that point, you want to try not to snack as much as possible. If you're hungry, eat a full meal. And a lot of us that have or had a lot of weight to lose got there from eating all the time, or eating snacks, or
not thinking about it.
Doing mindless eating. Lately for me, I've been going OMAD because I've just been really trying to really get my fasting period longer and just really listening to my body and only eating when I'm hungry. And that's a big part of it, because if you're just eating not thinking about it,
because your emotions, because you're bored,
yeah,
all the different
boredom
reasons.
is a big one. Listen to your body, no snacking, and eat a meal when you're hungry.
So mistake number 5 is eating too much dairy or eating too much artificial sweeteners.
Now, when you get further in your journey, especially if you have a lot of weight to lose like I did, once I hit that about 80 pounds or so, I started stalling out like crazy, and I really had to take a step back and evaluate, what am I doing? Why am I not losing the weight like I was consistently? And I realized I'm eating way too much dairy. I'm snacking on cheese, and I'm putting a lot of cream in my coffee, like whipping cream. And also, I noticed myself really drinking way too much, like diet soda, sparkling ice drinks, any kind of sweeteners in drinks. Once I started to cut back the dairy and the artificial sweeteners, and really just focusing on drinking mostly just water and black coffee, I started seeing the scale go down and the pounds come off again. Especially now, I only have 10 to 15 pounds left to lose. Really having to really be super strict on what I'm doing. I'm drinking nothing but black coffee, doing OMAD, and doing hardly any dairy at all. So it's really something you have to think about once you get later down the road in your journey.
The last mistake to avoid is letting the scale determine your success. And this one was a huge mistake that I made. And it can show up in many different ways, like weighing yourself too often. I think in the beginning, I was weighing myself almost daily, which in the beginning, it was really encouraging. But then kind of towards the middle of my journey, when your weight isn't coming off as quickly, it sometimes can be demoralizing, because then you're thinking to yourself, you get into these mental games, at least I do, of, oh, I ate carnivore today. Why didn't I wake up and lose a pound? I'm gonna go cheat. And then another mental game I would play with myself is, wow, I've lost 5 pounds this week. That means this weekend I can go off plan and have a cheat meal and reward myself for how good I'm doing. And so sometimes I would just get really wrapped up about what the number is on the scale. I personally would do so much better when I would just put the scale away, not look at it. I would have Patrick hide the scale from me. Because I would play so many mental games with myself. So for me personally, keeping the scale out of the equation, only weighing myself about once a month, was super helpful. But then also there was times when I wouldn't see the scale move at all, but I was still losing inches. And so if I was weighing myself, I would have got demoralized and cheated. But since all I had access to was measuring myself, I kept on track. And so for me personally, it's just way better to go with, how are you looking? How do your clothes fit? How are your measurements? Because at the end of the day, at least for me, those are the things that are making me feel the best, not the number on the scale.
The scale is not the end-all be-all measurement
it's just
of
a number.
Your success. Yeah, it's just a number, and you really need to focus on how you feel, how your clothes are fitting, and yeah, those numbers will go down, but don't get really
mentally wrapped up in it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the scale does not determine your success.
Exactly.
So there you have it, 6 mistakes that we both made when we started our carnivore journey. So we hope that watching this video, maybe you can start your carnivore diet journey a little bit more successfully than we did. Let us know how it's going in the comments below, because we are here to encourage you and we are rooting you on. You guys can do this.
Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. Stay strong.